Hi, everybody. If you're watching this, you're part of our agency content program, where we're going to be providing you on a monthly basis with daily content to post on all of your agency client accounts and workspaces. So we're going to provide those generally about a week before the start of the new month. And you also have access to the Rss Feed tool, which will allow you to find industry-specific feeds that will help you pipe in fresh industry content. We're also giving you US holidays. Use this, even if you're outside the US, use this template to give you ideas on what to do for holidays wherever you live. So you can use the same kind of format, and some holidays you'll want to mention on the day of, but be mindful, some you'll want to say something on the day before. For example, if it's going to be daylight savings time in the United States tomorrow, we've set it up to say something the day before so people can prepare for daylight savings time. So those are the three pieces of content, and I'm going to go through each one really quickly just so you understand the strategy behind what we're wanting to do for your clients. The goal for your clients, at the very least, and they might have many more goals than this, but at the very least, the lowest common denominator goal is they want to reach as many people as possible. And it's your job as a social media manager to reach as many people as possible on their accounts. You're going to do that through hashtags that correspond with their target audience and what they are searching for, so your client gets found within the social feeds. You're going to do that by increasing their edge rank. And what edge rank is an algorithm that Facebook uses, and other social networks are using something similar as well. What they're looking for is high engagement. If your client is getting high engagement on the content within their feeds, then Facebook is going to decide that they are relevant, and they are going to expose their content to more people. That is going to make your clients very happy. So we have an entire set of content on a daily basis that is going to be encouraging comments, likes, and shares. The US holidays, you just have to check that box. As a company, you have to acknowledge holidays as they come. Of course, if you're not in the US, you're going to want to acknowledge your local holidays, but don't let those opportunities come and go. If you do have followers of your brand, you have to acknowledge the holiday, and you have to wish your followers a happy, whatever it is, Merry Christmas, Happy 4th of July. Show the personality of your brand, show that you care, and show that you're minding the shop, okay? If your clients are seeing that you are letting these opportunities pass, they are going to lose faith in your ability to run their account. So that's why we give you an entire year's worth of holiday posts up front to make sure that you do not miss those opportunities where it really counts. Finally, there's a third piece of content, which is industry posts. That is where the RSS feed comes in, and that really rounds out your automation. You are going to be connecting to industry feeds that will pipe in industry information. So that is what is going to allow you to make your content more specialized for your client. That way, if you have an auto shop, you're not posting the exact same things for them on a daily basis than you are for a bakery. A bakery or a restaurant, both of these groups of companies, doesn't matter what industry you're in, they will need those US holiday posts. They will need those engagement posts. They work for any industry. But to give that industry that specific industry feel, you're going to need to find some authoritative feeds, and generally that is blogs. You can also pipe in YouTube channels. If you're not finding blogs that you like, go find an influencer out there who's pumping out YouTube videos in your industry. So if it's auto shops, make sure it's not a competing company. Like if let's say you get an auto shop and you find this fantastic auto shop out there who is putting out really great content. Obviously, you would not connect to their feed, because at the end of every single video, they're going to be asking you to go to their auto shop. So that would be a disaster. Instead, find somebody pumping out related content that does not have a competing interest. Maybe it's Motor Trend. Who cares if they go to Motor Trend and buy one of their magazine subscriptions? That's not going to hurt your auto shop, because it's a related industry competitor. and they don't directly compete with your client. So when you layer all three of these things, you're going to be acknowledging all of the holidays that come throughout the year. You're going to be generating engagement on a daily basis, showing all of the social networks that you are relevant. Your client deserves to be shown to as many people as possible. Those hashtags will be out there like fishing nets. So as their target audience is searching for certain types of content, or more importantly, if they're searching for a company to serve a need, make sure those hashtags are relevant. And that's where the hashtag groups will come along and come in handy. And finally, make sure you have industry relevant information. That's where the RSS feeds come along. And when those industry relevant pieces of information are piping into their account and into their feeds, they're going to be extremely happy because you guys are really checking all the boxes. The only thing I would add to this is your client may have certain sales going on for a certain week, or there might be a new product announcement. Make sure you're responsive to them, even if they're on the lowest price plan within reason. Generally this is only going to happen once or twice a week. Make sure you're responsive to their needs. If there's something they want to announce, by all means do it for them. They can send you an email, go ahead and create that social post. Our publisher is super easy to use. So just put it in there and get it added, and they will be extremely happy clients. Your job is to upsell and cross-sell campaigns, but we'll get to that in another video. First, I want to show you how to use these CSV files. So remember, we're only providing two files, the US holidays in January, and then the January social posts. Next month will be February social posts. So let's start with the US holidays because this is a one and done. You don't need to worry about this for another year. Notice that our queue is currently empty. So we're going to start filling up that queue with information. One thing I can tell you that both of these CSVs, to keep your life simple, they actually have specific dates in them already set and specific times. So you don't need to even worry about setting up your schedule, your automation schedule, because you aren't even going to be adding these to the queue. These are direct scheduled posts to keep it really simple. Now, the first thing we need to do is go to import, and we are going to take our first one, which is going to be the US holidays, and simply drag this over. Now that that's done, you're going to select all the social profiles you want to post to, and it should be all of them. There's really nothing that you wouldn't want to not acknowledge a holiday on any of the social networks. So go ahead and check them all. Now the category. What I highly recommend you do here, and you only need to do this once, you'll never need to do it again, click add category and just create a special category for holidays. Let's put this red. So now all of these posts will come in on the holiday category. Note that I did not ask you to go through the CSV and make it exactly the way you want. You can actually do that in the next step, and I'll show you what I mean. So you never even need to open up the CSVs that we provide to you. So I'm not going to repost this. This content is kind of one and done. It would not make sense, right? In order, like let's say we say Happy Thanksgiving, and then we repost it a week later, and it says Happy Thanksgiving again. That wouldn't make sense. So don't repost these. You can set this to email you when it's published. That way you can keep track of what goes out for your client. I don't recommend it because as soon as you get 20, 30, 40 clients, your inbox is going to be full. Hold post for your approval. You don't need to do this because you're going to be sending these in advance. But if you're sending these in January and they're January posts, absolutely you'd want to hold them for your approval. Otherwise, you'll have to get to them very quickly and make your edits before they start going out. Trim tweets if too long, always leave this on. If you turn this off and the tweet has more than 280 characters, it's not going to send it. And what a shame that would be. Go ahead and send it. It's just going to trim it down, and it's mindful of your hashtags. It's not going to kill your hashtags. Don't worry. Those will still be there. And we've already added hashtags. If you have others you want to add, you can add later. For the CSV imports, we do not offer hashtag groups. So you will have to go in, if you want to add hashtags beyond the ones that we've already added, you can do that. For the RSS feeds, we do allow hashtag groups. So we'll get to that when we start importing feeds. So now that we've already done all of this, all you have to do is click Add to Queue. The file that we provide is in perfect format, so it's ready to go. Notice that it's working. Don't try to do anything until it's done. So no errors found, all messages processed. Let's go to the queue and see how it looks. So now you'll see, let's expand this. You could see January 1, it's saying Happy New Year. All of the dates are just perfect. February 14th, I know that's Valentine's Day, so here's our Valentine's Day message. So you'll be able to review these much easier within the system than opening up CSVs and looking at spreadsheets all day. Don't do that. When you quit your job to start your agency, I bet you said to yourself, thank God I never need to look at a spreadsheet again, and let's hold to that promise and only look within the Socialmonials platform. It's much prettier. So here's how you go through each of these. When you're looking, what you're looking for is opportunities to add hashtags, maybe add your company, your client's company name in here, any branding you can add. Not critical, but if you want to add it, that's fantastic. Notice that you can blow up the picture and have a closer look. Also notice that if you do want to make a change, just click in here. It's totally formatted, so you'll be able to make changes, add hashtags if you want, or remove hashtags, and change this, add their brand name within the message. And when you're done, just click outside and it will stop that. Category, let's say that you change your mind and you want to change the category. It's super easy. Just change it, and it's going to change that now to an inspirational post. And this is a scheduled post, and it's set to publish on Jan 1. So what I want to do now is show you how to import the monthly posts. So we're going to go back to import, and let's go find our other post file. So January 2022, I'm going to drag this over. This one, you'll notice that we don't quite have the right category, so I'm going to add a category called engagement posts. And I'm going to add to queue. So now I'm importing 31 posts. No errors found. So now when I go to the queue, what I can do is filter. So I'm going to filter for the engagement posts so I can show you what these look like. These follow a very specific format. That way, when you're giving your pitch, and we are probably going to be giving you guys pitch decks, so you can talk to them about why you've selected the type of posts that you do select. We want something fun on the weekend. So what we went with all year, you guys are going to get fresh puzzles. So these are basically word searches that encourage them to find as many words as they can. This is very popular here in the States. Hopefully where you are, it's popular as well. But basically, we're challenging them to find as many words as they can and to use the comment field below to keep track of the words they find and to submit their word list when they're done. So they're basically competing with other people, other followers of yours, to see how many words they can find. And they're encouraged to come back the next day to see the solution. So now what you're doing is encouraging them to seek out your content the next day. And we're hoping this gets somewhat addictive for at least your more nerdy clients who, really obsess over, wanting to be the best or just really enjoy doing this. I know here in the States, Sunday there's comics, and every day in the comics section that they have jumble word games and they have crossword puzzles. I know my mother used to do those constantly. And guess what? She lives in New Zealand and she still downloads the New York Times, an American newspaper, in New Zealand just so she can do the jumble and the Sudoku and the crossword puzzles and all of those things. So she is truly addicted. On Sunday, we're going to give them, I'll blow this up so you can see, we show them what the results are so they can clearly see how many there are. And we are further getting more engagement out of these people by saying, comment below on how many words you got right. So again, this is bragging rights. We're encouraging them to comment. Chase the vision, not the money. So we have basically Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. we have inspirational posts. So those were things like, inspiring people to, little tips to do better in business. And it's always an inspirational, semi-famous person. So we give them attribution on it, and we're telling them just a little tidbit to keep them inspired. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have engagement posts. And what these are like hyper engagement posts. And it's basically like this or that. We're asking people questions, getting them to comment below and give their opinion. And these can always get very lively, really long content threads. So this one is before kids. What did you think you'd never do? We're just kind of asking people to share a little something about themselves. And you can see here's another this or that, book or movie, asking for people's preferences. So you're kind of getting to know your clients, you're showing you care. More importantly, and very selfishly, you're going to get a ton of comments on these, which your clients will love. So that's the format of any given week, and then it repeats the next week with totally fresh content. And you'll see there's 31 entries here since we have filtered this for only the engagement posts. And just like before, you can, click here and make any edits that you need to make, add hashtags, remove them, whatever you need to do. Finally, the RSS feed. You are given access to an RSS feed search utility where all you need to do is just, choose an industry, choose a subcategory. So like education, language. For example, you've got a list of all these different feed URLs down below. And all you would need to do if you see one that looks good, first of all, you can click on it to make sure it looks good. And if it does, then all you need to do is just copy that URL and go on back and create the RSS feed for it. So what we're going to say here, I'm going to delete this one. This is an example of a YouTube feed. Let's delete that. Let's create a whole new one. You can have a ton of feeds, but I'm just trying to keep this clean. So for this one is monkey, and the feed URL is bilingualmonkeys.com. And always leave link title and description unless you notice that this particular feed is really long and there's duplication. So if they include some of the title in their description every time, then you would probably change this to description only. If their description just isn't very exciting and the link title says it all, by all means, only use link title. But generally speaking, default to link title and description, and it will create a really nice post with line breaks, and it'll be just perfect. Append text. This is where you would probably want to put something about your company in there. So if your client is, Ford, you might say, at Ford or something like that. Give them a mention, something like that to include your client's name in that particular feed. Again, it depends on what kind of feed it is, like what kind of information is popping in. You can even append text that gives a link to your company. If your client has a landing page that converts really well with a special offer, add that offer here. You can just say, free demo, and then give a link. And we will add that link, and we will shorten it, and we will track it. So be creative here on the append text. This gets added to the message of every single post. And limit the number of posts. The default usually works the best. Add the latest one post to the queue now. This way it's not going to fill up their queue with a bunch of posts, and then they're going to get stale because there's not enough time to get them out in the week. And then new ones going forward, but no more than 10 at a time. Again, this ensures that it's not going to overfill the queue, because you don't want to be edging out really good, unique, new content because you have this one RSS feed that is generating, let's say, 10 a day. You don't want that to totally push out all the other content. Keep that mix nice and clean. So which profile should we post to? Again, I would choose them all unless you have a real reason not to. Instagram, probably not. Your client might have a manicured Instagram, and if you just start posting these RSS feeds, some of these blogs have really great curated images. Some don't. Some are coded so poorly that it doesn't pull in an image at all. In that case, the Instagram post just would fail, which is fine, because you don't want a white image showing up in their Instagram feed. So anyway, I would say Pinterest is fine unless they have a really high fashion brand, where they're only posting really beautifully crafted images of their, apparel or something like that, as a fashion brand. It's okay to go to Pinterest. Pinterest is great because you can click through and go to the article. But again, Instagram is actually the only one that I would recommend you do not do unless their Instagram is flooded with other, industry types of posts and not a beautifully manicured set of images. So as for the category, industry news really fits the bill here. So use the default industry news category is what I recommend. And you do not need to repost because you're going to have so much content going out between these three layers. I would rather you choose 5 different feeds and have them all coming in versus reposting any of your RSS feeds. So I don't recommend you even use this. Again, email me when published is going to fill up your inbox. Don't do it. Hold post for my approval. You might want to do this for the first week of any new RSS feed. So I'm going to say yes. And if you leave this highlighted, it's going to email you when posts arrive. I would leave that there. That way you're notified when there's something that you need to go approve. Otherwise, it's not going to go out. It's going to wait until you give them that approval. And this one is attach image. Generally, you don't need to do this if it's a well-coded RSS feed. But if you notice that it's showing up in your queue with no images, go ahead and check this and we'll force the attachment of that image because the scraper isn't working. For some reason, it's coded in such a way, or the image is, located in such a place where it's just not reaching it and it's not pulling it in. Then you can attach your image. But initially, try to do it without attach image. And the reason for that is if you have images attached, then if they click on an image in your in the Facebook post within the feed, it's going to show a larger image instead of taking them to that article. So I prefer to not have attached images selected if you can avoid it. And when you're done with that, you just click save. And let it do its job. So RSS feed has been refreshed, it's already imported, and you're set. What's beautiful about this is you don't need to touch this for the rest of the year. Now you have a year's worth of fresh content that's going to be piped in. Your client doesn't know you're doing this through an RSS feed. They think you're getting up every morning, drinking 3 cups of coffee and knocking out all this content for them. Don't tell them, oh, don't worry, it's easy. I'm going to be setting this up in January 1 and it's just going to run for the month. Don't let them feel good about you not working hard. In fact, don't talk about how hard you work at all. Don't talk about your craft. That's you. You're the one that found Socialmonials, and that took effort. You're the one that took a chance on starting a business, and you are to be rewarded for that. Don't feel guilty that you're not going to be working hard, but you're going to be creating a ton of content. That is what you should focus on. The client is getting a ton of content. They're getting a well thought out social media manager level set of posts that are going into their accounts on a daily basis. That's all that matters. The benefit from that far outweighs what they're paying you. So never feel an ounce of guilt and just keep posting. Do your best. If you think of other ways of manicuring your particular clients' feeds, fantastic. That's how you beat out other people in your industry and make your agency better. And your agency will find its own fingerprint. It just takes time. But for now, this is a tried and true method to keep your clients' posts as close to the top of the feeds as possible, especially for their target audience. So if you guys have any questions about any of this, please let me know. The one thing I would like to add to this is when you have a chance, when you first get a new client, always go in and find a good hashtag tool. Eventually we're going to build one, but we don't have a great hashtag tool. So once you have hashtags that you want to use, be sure to go and set up your hashtag groups, and that's done right here. So you're going to add a hashtag group, paste all of the hashtags you want to be automatically added, come up with a name for it, and when you're doing your RSS feeds, definitely you're going to want to add those hashtag groups. So anyway, that's one step that I skipped Make sure you add a hashtag group when you import your RSS feeds. That way, the same content that is posted by that blog isn't what's going out. You're actually going to be adding rotated hashtags to those particular posts. So anyway, again, if you have questions, please reach out to our team and we will be happy to answer them. So happy posting, people.